Hey everyone, welcome back to this week's edition of WCM Supplier Showcase. This week I am joined with Donna Bordeaux, co-owner and founder of Campground Accounting. So Donna, just tell us a little bit about your background, because you've got this really interesting crossroads where you're in the accounting industry, but you're also an RVer and somebody who enjoys this lifestyle. So how did you get into the camping industry with Campground Accounting?
Yeah, it's a kind of an odd story. My husband and I are both CPAs. So we've run a CPA practice since 1996. And about 10 years ago, he also likes to go hunting. So about 10 years ago, our friends were selling a pop-up camper and they were upgrading to a bigger travel trailer. And for about a week and a half, he gave me this timeshare presentation about how we should buy this pop up from them. We could use it to go camping as a family. At the time, our son was about 7 or 8 years old. We could save on hotels. We could do all this fun, cool stuff together. He wore me down. Um, I had been experienced with tent camping and I did some outdoor camping when I was a kid. And I was like, oh, that sounds hard, but all right, just buy it. Let's be done with it. So he bought it. We did a few trips. We went out with some friends and camped with them, had great times. Ends up about a year later, we upgraded and we've upgraded and we've upgraded. And this turned into our new family thing, was to go camping. And it really gave us a good time as a family to go bond, have fun outdoors. Well, then, of course, what do you do when you're camping? You sit around the campfire. You put two CPAs around the campfire, and what do you get? Yes. Well, I wonder if they're doing this. They could do better if they did this. I wonder if they've got their financial matters in order. And that's how this was born. That
Basically
led us.
combine the two loves, right? You're sitting
Yeah,
around the campfire thinking all these
absolutely.
owners and these great people that we're talking to could use your expertise from your services.
Absolutely. So that is the backstory of how Campground Accounting came to be.
And so a lot of people, Donna, when they think of accounting services, bookkeeping might be the first thing that comes to mind. It's probably the thing that if a park owner is doing it in-house, that's the thing that they're
Yeah.
doing, right? Keeping track of their books and having their finances in order. And you guys obviously do offer that, but can you just talk a little bit more about, you know, what what more is it than bookkeeping for you guys? And really what's the difference between me doing bookkeeping in-house and working with somebody like you guys?
Right. When people think of an accountant, they think about I might need an accountant for my taxes, my bookkeeping. Maybe I got a notice here or there, something needs to happen. But what we don't roll into that picture is these numbers are telling a story. And usually in the DIY situation where an owner of the campground is doing their own books, they're doing it for necessity because they need a tax return, but they're not really seeing or hearing or know how to interpret the story. So I am the story reader of those books. So when we keep the books and records up to date, we feel that's critical because when you want to add on to your park, change your pricing, do different things that come about or work on, what happens if I need to redo something, the electrical system, a new internet, you need to know what's going on in those financials. And that is our case, is that we are able to use that information as a baseline to be able to help park owners grow the way they want to grow and make sure that this business is supporting them holistically as a financial endeavor. It's a big investment to be a park owner, and you can't just let that happen by chance. We want to drive them to where they want to go. So
Yeah,
I
and I
was going
was
to say
gonna say, go ahead.
most park owners that we see, family-owned campgrounds, they have got out of the corporate rat race or left their 9 to
Hmm.
5 because they want something more. They want that family thing going on. So it may not be that they realize how big that investment is that they're growing to their legacy, and they all have a dream. It's a matter, and everybody's dream is different. So we want to help them get there.
And I was going to say, well, that's a great point. And a lot of families that are in the business are working so closely together that they might not be able to step back and see the whole picture. They're so attached to the day-to-day operations and so
Right.
involved in the business. And to that same point as well, maybe even a local accountant understands businesses, but do they really can they take the step back and understand the campground and the business as a whole? And that's probably a common question that you guys get asked too. Is like, hey, I work with the local accountant down the street. Why would I consider changing to somebody like you? Or if they're unhappy, somebody might ask, well, what's the difference? How are you any
Right.
different than this person that I'm unhappy with? And is that really the reason that you guys are able to step back with that and you bring the industry expertise to the table?
Yeah, the function that most people are looking at with an accountant is more the traditional role, and that traditional role, like I said, tax planning and book or tax preparation and
It's sort of
bookkeeping.
like check the box too.
Yeah,
I got my taxes done. I got my bookkeeping done. We're set.
right. It's all about compliance. It's really helpful to be out of jail to operate a business. That's super helpful. But there is more to that, and really making sure that all of those numbers are helping get you to that next step. A good example of some things that we've seen. We had an owner who needed to redo all the septic system, and it
Mm,
was a
huge
behemoth
investment.
of a project. And of course, you need money to do that. It was an unexpected thing that happened. So we were able to help them get their finances in line to get to the bank easy enough to get that all situated. Could they have done it on their own? Probably, perhaps, but would it have been as easy? Would it have taken a lot longer in the process? And this was at a stage where if you waited much longer, the prices were going up by the day. So it was critical that the timing got this to happen and that they could get that work done in the off season and not miss out on revenues. So that's just a simple example. And we suggest to all our campground owners, I don't know everything. I'll be the first to say that, but I know a lot of people who know stuff. And we specialize in working with campgrounds. So we understand all these other network of people that they will need to be in line with. And we can speed up that process and keep them from making wrong turns. If somebody says, hey, we want to do a new reservation system. All right, that's the common question. We see it every day. Which one's the best? Well, it's not the best, it's the best for you. So we help owners look at reservation systems and put in line and decide how are we going to set it up? What are the steps we're going to do? And line them up for success rather than having to go through 4 systems to find out, none of those are the right one. I need another one.
Exactly. And this conversation around like the right fit really leads into my next question. We're recording this in the middle of the season for a lot of park owners. We've gotten through 2 of the 3 of the major holidays, and we're sort of heading into the fall shoulder or sort of the Q3, Q4 part of the year.
The
You
Super
know,
Bowl.
yeah, exactly. The Super Bowl. I like that.
Yeah.
When does somebody know that like it's the right time to make the change for them? Or is it,
Yeah.
because I'm sure that's a question too of like, well, do I wait until after the next tax year? Do I do it now? And
Right.
that fit conversation, I'm sure, comes into that of like you got to make the choice that's right for your park, even if the timing seems off. And I'm sure that's probably what you're going to answer.
I have the perfect answer for this question, and you already know the answer. When
Yep.
is the best time to make a change? Yesterday. You
Right. You
already
already know.
know it needs to happen. So don't beat around the bush. Just get moving with it and make the change. It doesn't matter if it's January. There's no need to wait for taxes because taxes are always happening every single day of the year. We put them on a piece of paper at a certain time of the year, but that's like the least important part of the cycle. While things are happening, that's when you need to make the change. And I'll be honest with you, right now is a particularly crucial time because we've finished doing all of our planning for our clients of what 2023 tax returns look like. Not completing 2022. Those are history. They don't do you any good. We want to know what does it look like right now for this year And the most important part, what can we do about it? All of those things that you can do about it that have an effect on your taxes have to happen now before the end of the year. So if you wait till January and you take your tax into somebody and tell them, hey, what can I do? The answer is pretty much nothing. It all had to be done looking back. And that's the problem of working in a reactive environment rather than proactive. And that's my specialty.
And so if somebody, they're hearing this conversation, they say, all right, I've decided I'm looking for somebody, we're not happy with our current situation, or we want to move to somebody who has a little bit more knowledge, more expertise that can do that proactive planning specifically for my part. What does that initial kickoff meeting look like? And then as we wrap up here, how can people reach out and actually contact you and set that process up?
Yeah, our focus, as I mentioned before, is particularly only on family-owned campgrounds. So we don't work with any big corporate entities or big partnerships or equity groups. We want to make sure that mom and pop's campground is still there for a long time and generations to come. So looking at that structure, if that meets your needs, and you want to talk about, hey, what would this look like? Our process is pretty simple. You just go right through our website. We'll ask you a few questions to lead up to make sure that you're in our ballpark of our specialty sweet spot that we can help you. And if that happens, then we schedule a time to meet. We'll talk together, talk a little bit about what is it you're trying to achieve? Are we the right fit to help go on that journey with you? And then once somebody decides, like, yes, this is the deal, I am ready to go, we kick off fast. We onboard and get everything up and running typically within about 2 weeks. I had one in particular this week. They started on Friday night, they signed off, and we're almost done with onboarding for the whole
Wow.
year's worth of stuff to get caught up. So we want to make sure that we give you plenty of time to do all that good stuff before the end of the year and really earn our keep. Our focus is on making sure that we're giving you a return on investment in us, not just another expense going against your bottom line.
Awesome. And then Donna, what's the website and how can people go and
Sure.
reach out?
Go to campgroundaccounting.com and there's a contact us form right on the upper right corner there. You can click on that. Also, if you want to know more about what we do and kind of get a feel for it, pop out to our blog. I have a ton of YouTube recordings. Most people recognize me from that.
Fantastic educational content there too.
Yep. And we post all those into our blog too. So whether you are a reader or a watcher, we got you covered.
Awesome. Donna, thanks again for being here and giving some people some information right in time, it seems like, for this next year.
Thank you, Alex. It was great to be here.
Thanks for listening to this week's edition of Woodall's Supplier Showcase. As a reminder, you can watch the video if you consume your content that way on Facebook and YouTube, and it's also audio edition wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks, guys, and we'll see you again next week.